Adjectives are when you describe something. Adverbs ends with ly.
Okay, true. But let me add something which is very easy. We could say adjective, we use adjective to describe noun, but we use adverbs to describe verbs. So adjective, we use it to describe nouns, like when I say, for example, Muhammad Salah is, uh, Muhammad Salah is what? Is a quick player. Or when I say Hannah is a quiet person. Hannah, what is the difference between when I say, for example, Hannah is a quiet person and when I say Hannah speaks quietly? What is the difference between quiet in the first and quietly in the second?
Okay, the first quiet describes the noun and quietly describes the verb.
Yes, that's right. That's right, true. So when I say Hannah is a quiet girl, so now I am describing Hannah. This is her character. But when I say, but when I say Hannah speaks quietly, so I don't mean here that Hannah is a quiet girl. Maybe not. But when I say Hannah speaks quietly, so I'm talking about her speaking. At that time, she speaks quietly. Maybe she's not a quiet person. Do you understand me? Did you get what I mean, Dana? Hannah?
Yes,
Yeah. So we use adjective before noun
yes.
and to describe nouns, and but we use adverbs after the verb to describe it. Now, uh, we're going to talk about position of adverbs in a sentence. There are three main positions for adverbs which modify a verb. So modify here, it means to describe the verb. Uh, we can use it at the end, front, and mid position. Okay? So we can use the adverb at the end, or we can use it in front, or we can use it so we can use it at the end or front or mid position. Let's start by end position. Using adverb in end position, the adverb comes after the verb. Okay? So the adverb come after the verb immediately after it or later in the clause. Look at these examples here. When I say they played quietly all day, so where is the adverb here?
After the verb immediately.
Yeah, after the verb played. So quietly here, it's an adverb. It comes after the verb. The second example, when I say he tried to leave quietly. So quietly here, it's an adverb and it comes here after the verb. After what? Uh, so leave quietly.
After the verb.
Yeah. Also, the third example, when I say he sat in the corner quietly. So here he sat, the verb here sat, and the adverb comes later in the clause. Okay?
Okay.
So here, here's the adverbs. So the adverb here comes later in the clause. It doesn't come directly after the verb. Okay. Also, we can use adverb. We can use the adverb before the subject. We can use the adverb here before the subject. Like what? Like when I say finally, he could stand the noise no longer. Finally, he could stand the noise no longer. Or when I say sometimes I feel like leaving. So sometimes and the finally here, they are adverbs and they come here what? Hmm? They come in front. They come,
before the subject.
yeah, so they come before the subject in front. So now the in front position. This is in front position, okay? Or here, so this is end. After the verb, it's in the end here. So in this is in the position. Here, it's in front of position. Now we're going to talk about mid position. It means after the subject and before the verb. So in mid position, the adverb comes between the subject and the verb immediately after verb to be. So we're talking about adverbs of frequency. So the kind of adverbs that come in mid position, they are the adverbs of frequency. Like what? Like when I say he usually plays better than this, or she's usually here by 10, or they would usually come by car. So now we can summarize this by saying that the adverbs may come in front position or in mid position or in end position. Okay,
Okay.
you get it?
Yes.
Okay. Many adverbs, let me move to the next point. Many adverbs can go in any of these positions, depending on context or style. For example, like when I say, he turned around slowly. So here, slowly, it comes at the end of the clause. But when I say he slowly turned around, so here, the adverb in mid position. Or it may be in front of position like slowly, he turned round. Slowly he turned what?
Round.
Okay. Now let's move to end position, section number B, end position. In end position, we usually put an adverb after an object rather than immediately after the verb. Again, we usually put an adverb after an object rather than immediately after verb. Like what? When I say we considered the problem briefly. We considered the problem briefly. Where is the subject in this sentence, Hannah? Where is the subject? Or what is the
At
subject?
the beginning.
Yeah, at the beginning, we. The verb, considered. So the verb is here, considered. And the problem, it's an object. And briefly, it's an adverb. So we have subject, verb, object, and adverb. Okay?
Okay.
So we considered the problem briefly. We have subject, verb, object, and then the adverb. However, if an object is very long, other positions are possible. Again, if an object is very long, other positions are possible. How? Look at this example and you will understand. When I say we considered briefly the long-term solution to the problem, the subject we considered is the verb. Okay? We considered briefly the long-term solutions to the problem. Yani, is it better to say we considered the long-term solution to the problem briefly, or it's better to say we considered briefly the long-term solution to the problem? What do you think, Hannah?
We considered briefly.
Or we can say we briefly considered. Both of them are correct. In this case, we can use the adverb directly after the subject, like here. We can say we briefly considered. Or we can say we considered briefly. طب why? Why here, Hannah? Why we will use here the adverb? Like what you seen in this sentence here. Why?
Why what?
Why here we used the adverb directly? We use the adverb directly after the verb and not after the object.
Because the object is long.
Not
The name
long,
of the
very
object is
long. Because the object is very what?
very long.
Yeah, because the object is very long. Could you tell me where is the object here, Hannah?
It's the long-term solution to the problem.
Yeah, so it's too long. So it's better here. In this case, it's better to use the adverb after the subject, directly after the subject or after the verb. Look at this notice here. We avoid putting an adverb between the main verb and the following ing form or 2 plus infinitive. Look at this sentence here and you will understand. When I say he began running quickly. He began running what?
Quickly.
5. Can we say here he began quickly running?
No.
Why?
Because we don't add the main verb. We don't add the main verb between. We don't add the adverb between the main verb and the verb G.
Yeah, so here, so let me tell you, so when we have a verb and this verb followed by gerund, ing, or 2 plus infinitive, so in this case, we cannot use an adverb between them. So we cannot say he began quickly running, or she tried quickly to leave. We cannot say it like this. But we use it after the gerund, like when I say he began running quickly. Or you can use it after the subject. You can say he quickly began running. He quickly what? Began running. You get it?
Yes.
She tried to leave quietly, or she quietly tried to leave. Can we say she tried quietly to, can we say she tried quietly to leave?
No.
No. So what is the solution in this case, Hannah? What can we do in this case if we have to plus infinitive or ing?
We put the adverb before the main verb or after the verb ing.
Yeah. Have you studied these cases before, Hannah, or this is the first time to study it in details?
I studied them. I studied them, but not in so much detail.
You have studied it before, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so in which curriculum have you studied these stuff? In Cambridge?
Yes.
Yeah, this term?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, Hannah. Now let's move to the position of the adverb. The position of the adverb can change the meaning of the sentence. And we're going to study this in detail, but not now. Look at this example here. When I say, I recall telling him clearly that he had one. Again, I recall telling him clearly that he had one. And I clearly, the second sentence, I clearly recall telling him that he had one. So what is the difference when the adverb come after the subject and when the adverb come after the verb? When I say, do you know the difference, Hannah?
Uh, in the first one, clearly describes when he tells him, and the second one, it describes the verb recall.
Okay, so in the first one, when I say, I recall telling him clearly that he had one, so I told him. This means that I told him clearly. I told him what?
Clearly.
So clearly here it modifies telling. In this sentence, clearly modifies telling. Modifies what? So it means I told
Telling.
him clearly. It means I told him what? Clearly. But in the second one, when I say I clearly recall telling him that he had one, again, I clearly recall telling him that he had one. So I clearly here, I clearly recall it. So clearly here modifies what?
Recall.
Yeah, so I clearly recall telling him, I clearly recall, I clearly recall telling him what he had one. So it means I recall clearly telling him that he had one. So it's all okay. Hannah, just a moment. اديني بس لحظة واحدة. So again, Hannah, to make it clear, here, so the adverb here, clearly. So in the first one, as I told you, so clearly here it modifies, uh, here clearly, and in the second one clearly modifies recall. And if you say I recall clearly, so the sentence will be ambiguous, and this means it's not clear. Now let's move to section number D here. When there is more than one adverbial in end position, so the usual order in written English is adverbial of manner, and then place, and then time. Again, Hannah, I'd like to say here, if you have more than one adverbial, what will you do, Hannah?
We put it at the end.
So if you have more than one adverb, you're going to order these adverbs. You're going to order these what?
Adverb.
Yeah, you're going to order them. First, you're going to understand by adverbial of manner. Do you know what's an adverbial of manner?
Yes. It describes the way you act.
Yeah, so when you describe how something is done. And then adverbial of place. And after adverbial of place is adverbial of time. So the order is manner, place, and time. Manner, place, and time. So the order will be manner, and then place, and then time. Look at this example here. When I say, in the accident, she was thrown violently forward. So violently here. Which kind of adverb is violently, Hannah?
The adverbial of manner.
Yeah, so we have started by adverbial of manner, and then forwards. It's adverbial of,
The adverbial of place.
yeah, so we started by manner and then place. Number 2, we arrived here on Saturday. How many adverbials do we have here?
3. So, yes, 3.
3. The first one is,
First one is a place.
I can't hear you.
The first one is place.
Yes, and the second one,
The second one is time.
and the third one,
It is also time.
what?
It is also time.
Where is the second and third here, Hannah? So could you tell me where is the place and the first time and the second one?
Here is the place.
Hmm.
On Saturday is the time.
Yeah, so we have just the two adverbials. We have here just the two adverbials. The first one here is the place here, and then the time Saturday. Okay?
Okay.
Okay, for special emphasize, if you'd like to emphasize something,